Wow. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Monica Brant Show. I'm your host, Monica, and I'm joined tonight by my beautiful friend, Sarah Lyons-Labman, who is co-hosting tonight. And we have a very special evening show for you. We had to have fire for the ambiance.
It's fire. It's so peaceful in here.
Yeah. So we're here in Scottsdale, Arizona, actually here at Sarah's beautiful home, and getting to do a recording tonight with our amazing guest who can't wait to share about her and her story.
Yes.
Yeah, right?
Yes. Her
Should we just
journey.
go into it?
Yeah, let's just get there. I'm just telling you.
Who are we talking about?
We're talking about 𝗬𝗬𝗂𝗁𝗂𝗂𝗂 here. 𝗬𝗬𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂 is an amazing, strong, willful, powerful, strong, let me say strong again, woman. She has overcome some serious
and tender,
stuff.
though, too.
Yeah, she's also very tender. She
too.
loves the Lord like we do.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing.
She has a heart for the Lord.
Yes, and I am so excited to have her on the show tonight because we have a lot to talk about with her and the process of the journey of what we've gone through.
Right. I mean, the thing is what we get to do with these women when we do these photo shoots for Epic Destination. And I know you do a lot on your own with Picturegroove, and of course, then 𝗬𝗬𝗂𝗁𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂 CZiDesign. Yeah. It's just amazing the start to finish.
Inception to creation.
Exactly.
That's what I call it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a journey, right?
Oh,
we start a journey. It's like you're going on a trip with one of these clients, and they become family.
Literally.
Yeah.
Like she's our sister now,
right?
kind of. Yeah. It's amazing.
Well, let's bring. How about we bring sensational Selena in?
Let's bring sensational 𝗬𝗬𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, love.
It's so good to see y'all.
You too, babe.
You look beautiful.
Oh, as always, y'all do too.
You're like a glam fit punk rock.
Yeah, that's the look I was going for. Thank you.
I like chic rock.
Chic rock.
Chic rock.
Okay, that's a new hashtag.
Not chic rock. Chic rock. Not chic rock.
No.
Awesome. How's your day going, girl?
It's been going great. I had a great day. We're blessed, and I cannot complain. Life is good. We're blessed.
Good, Selena. Thank you so much for coming on. And
No, thank you.
Excited just to brag on you and tell our viewers about you and just dive in.
Right.
Thank you. Yes.
You know, one of the things we love is not just doing the photo shoot with our clients who become family, but epic family, right? It's like
yes.
Family.
That's
hashtag epic family. Okay.
Yes.
But I love hearing the story and then being able to share the story of these women, of the women like yourself, the lives, and how what brought you from, obviously as a child to where you are now, and why are we talking about you, right? Because there's always an amazing story behind pretty much everybody.
Yes.
But we don't get to meet everybody because, it's just few and far between that we get to really do these shoots with and then come together. But super excited about sharing your story in particular. And I know you have a heart for other people.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And in multiple ways, like not just in you're sharing your story, but in the fitness world and rehabbing people both physically, emotionally, mentally, all the things. So
yes.
Well, let's dive in and talk about your background and how you were raised, what influence your family had on you, because you're an amazing woman and obviously family was influential in ways and here we are today.
Yes. Well, thank you so much again for inviting me on the show. I'm so excited. Well, a little bit about me. I grew up and I've lived all my life in Corpus Christi, Texas. And I was raised in a neighborhood. In Spanish, we would call it a barrio. It's just a small, primarily Hispanic population. It's called Los Encinos. And I had wonderful parents. I have wonderful parents. They were very attentive, very loving, and very caring. There were four of us, so we had a full house. There were four kids plus my parents, so we had a big household, and we were happy. We had my parents. Like I said, they raised us so well. They nurtured us, and we were raised in a very my parents sheltered us in a way that we were always taken very well care of. A little bit more going into my background, even though we were in a loving and nurturing background, there was some family dynamics that did cause some trauma. And that was my brother, who is older than I am. I was the youngest. He was hit by a car when he was only 6 years old. He was run over by a car and on his way home from walking from school. And so that was, it was a pretty bad accident. It mangled his foot. So with that, that meant that my parents had to be in Houston with him because that's where his surgeon was. So the family was separated quite a bit. And the accident happened when I was just a baby. So this is really all I ever knew. But being separated as a very young child for weeks at a time is it's very traumatic, to a little girl I was very attached, especially to my mom. And so I know that was, I don't blame my parents at all. I know that they did the very best that they could given that situation. But I know that's where some of my anxiety, depression kind of stemmed from.
Yeah, absolutely. When you don't have your parents there to guide you, it's a different animal when you're left to learn on your own. I can relate to that. Absolutely.
Yes.
But,
so,
yeah.
Like I said, we did the best we could. And then as I grew up, high school, middle school, that's when some things started to change for me. I was always a very good student. I was always actually kind of a nerd. Up until, yes. Up until high school, unfortunately, like many high school kids, we just hanging out at parties, I was introduced to alcohol. And I fell in love with alcohol. I can remember the very first time that I drank a significant amount. I thought I had found the best thing ever. I feel like I was addicted immediately. I wondered, where's this been all my life? Why isn't everyone doing this all the time? And so that eventually led to my habit of drinking more often. I know after the parties ended, went back to school, my friends would really just drink kind of socially. And I found myself drinking on weekdays by myself. And I didn't make the connection. I didn't make the connection that this was abnormal.
Were your parents is this because your parents were gone? You were by yourself a lot? So you're talking about high school, right?
Yes, I was probably about 16 years old.
And how did you get alcohol? Was it just the normal someone
buying? Oh yeah, it was, I remember the very first time I was introduced to alcohol. It was at a homecoming, after the homecoming dance. And we all kind of chipped in, rented a room, and we probably had somebody older than us buy alcohol for us or something like that.
Right.
And there was a lot of it, and everybody was drinking. It was just kind of the thing. Right. But for me, it just kind of turned something on that I never turned off.
Okay. Wow. Well, we've all been high school students with trying new things. So I mean, I get that. I guess, the key, like you said, was thinking about, is it something that you thought about like every day? Like it crossed your mind, like, when am I going to have time to go drink?
Monica, not initially. I did like it right away. I liked everything about it. I liked the way the burning sensation down my throat. I liked the smell of it. I loved the effect of it. Like I mentioned, I was kind of nerdy and shy. And so alcohol helped me be funny, and it helped me be more social, and it was easier to talk to guys.
Right.
So that was my initial turn on to alcohol, if you will. But it kind of snowballed as the years went on. I know going into college, that's when it started affecting my studies. My behavior became more and more erratic. So it wasn't just boom right away. It was the problem started and escalated.
Did did anyone realize this, or were you completely like a functioning, student that seemed normal but had this kind of in the background?
Addicts are very good at manipulating the people around them because we want to keep our addiction almost a secret as much as we can, because if anyone were to find out, it may cause us to have to stop what we're doing. And so I know I learned very well and very early on how to hide it as best that I could from my parents. Now, there were some times that I got sloppy and came home drunk, but I think for my parents, they kind of just thought it's that age, she's, experimenting with alcohol, but they did not know to the extent.
Oh, yeah. Did they, some parents will make children feel bad about their actions. Did they ever try to reprimand or give you a hard time, or did they just kind of say, oh, we're not going to worry too much, it's just Selena trying out stuff and we're not
and again, I take full responsibility for all of my actions and all my mistakes throughout my life. But looking back, I don't think my parents understood again how big the problem had gotten. Yes. For them, it was just kind of a typical teenage thing. I was the youngest of 4, so I had 2 older sisters and a brother, and they kind of did some similar things. And I guess to my parents, it was just, kids are going to be kids kind of thing.
Well, I think it's true, and I haven't had children. God hasn't blessed me with children, but my understanding is your first child, and because I've heard this so many times, people that have multiple children, they're like, your first baby, you're like so, strict and on point with everything, and then after so many children, you just kind of get over.
Yep. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, okay, we figured it out, and kids are kids, and this is normal. And
yes, so I think that's a good point. I think that's a really good point because, like I said, they had kind of been through it. It wasn't really a shock to them.
You're number 4, right?
That's right. I'm number 4. So, I don't think that they saw the big problem that it had been becoming.
How was graduation for you? As far as, were your grades still up for graduation? Your senior. All I'm thinking as here's the thing: if I have 3 drinks in one night, like the next day, I usually feel pretty crappy. But I remember when I was younger, you could probably have 3 drinks and still feel okay the next day. Right. So how were you? And were you an athlete in high school? Because athletics would play a huge role. Being that was right. Athletics for sure.
I didn't play sports in high school, but I sang with the mariachi band. So singing was my thing. And I remember that. No singing right now. Later. But, I remember it wasn't really until my senior year, I managed to do okay. I wasn't at my very best academically at that point, but I graduated, did okay. The real problems came in when I entered college. I went to a community college here in Corpus. I was still living with my parents, and by then I had registered for basics, and I just stopped caring. I was either too hungover to go to class, or I just didn't want to. I'd rather smoke a joint, or drink that day. And so that's when I noticed that the things that I cared about, such as my grades, weren't really as important as they used to be. Mm-hmm. Because your addiction takes over.
So you're living at home and walking through this kind of stage of your life where you're in college now, and are your parents expecting you to contribute to the household at all? Because, you know, a lot of parents like, okay, after high school, you're going to live here. You've got to contribute some to the, you know, the normal
Right.
wear and tear of being in a family and what things cost to just
Life. Yeah.
Right. So were they making you responsible for anything like that where you had to work as well? Or is it just school? As long as you're in school, you could live here.
Yes. So, my parents, their rule was, if you're going to school, we want you to focus on school, and you don't have to get a job if you don't want to, kind of thing. But then eventually my addiction took over. I stopped caring, and I just stopped going to classes. I just dropped out. I went to probably about maybe a semester of college, and I just dropped out. So it was at that point that they were like, okay, well, if you're not gonna go to school, then you need to figure something out to contribute.
Right. So were you at that point drinking at home alone, or were you finding friends that you could drink with during the day?
Both. You know, by then, you know, I was dating, I had a group of friends, and so it was the nightlife, we were clubbing. So again, it was just kind of the norm on weekends. So the people around me didn't realize, again, the extent of my problem, because it was everyone else was doing it on the weekends, but I was also, you know, drinking on my own as well.
Selena, were you only drinking, or were you doing other things?
At that point, definitely drinking. Alcohol has always been it was my love, my number one. But you know, as we well know, when we're under the influence of alcohol, our inhibitions will lower. And then, I never tried drugs sober. It was always when I was drunk that I tried drugs that I never would have ever thought about touching if I weren't under the influence of alcohol. So at that point, I started experimenting with marijuana, and then I started smoking as much as I was drinking.
Wow, your brain and everything must have just been really like kind of forth, right? Like,
well, you know that, Monica, and also alcohol and marijuana, they're depressants,
right?
And so, looking back, that's when my mental illness started really becoming a problem as well, because one, the alcohol and the marijuana were depressing my nervous system. I was getting more and more depressed, and then it almost becomes a vicious cycle, because you drink and you smoke to feel good, right? To feel better, and then you feel worse. So then you drink some more, and then you feel worse, and then pretty soon you're just drowning in that, and you get to a point where it's extremely hard to get out of that. What started out as something just innocent, drinking, social, really escalated into something that got out of hand.
Well, it makes sense the way you say the word drowning, because you know, it just sounds exactly like that. Like you just can't get out of that space, and you don't know what's real anymore either.
That's
right.
So
if you're feeling, where you're actually feeling, because there's constant drug type product in your system, and your body's just unable to function. And even just because we're all like understand health. I mean, I know that if there's alcohol in my system, even a little bit, the rest of things can't happen. It just kind of shuts everything down per se, especially a lot, because it's got to focus on the alcohol. So it's like there's just not much else going on, because it's just like poison.
It wants to focus on getting rid of the alcohol. Your body naturally doesn't want to accept it.
Right. It's a toxin.
It is. And so on certain days, if you've had a little bit too much and you wake up and you're just kind of like foggy, it's your body going, you've had way too much.
And also
she's like, I gotta have more.
Right. Exactly. And also for me, being that I grew up with my grades were always very important to me. My academics were very, very important to me. And then when I dropped out of college, it was very hard on my confidence, because I had dreams and I had hopes for my future. And then that caused even more depression. So it was really just a spiral downward.
The cycle. It's a huge cycle, and that's why they call it a
Yes.
cycle, is because
That's right.
there's no end to the end of the circle.
Yes, you just keep falling deeper and deeper and deeper, and it's really hard. Once you get to a certain point, it's you know, without professional help, it's extremely hard to get out of that.
Yeah.
Professional help and a will.
That's right.
Because I know,
That's right.
yeah, because I have had friends that went to get professional help and moved into a place, you know, even in San Antonio, that you go when you're homeless and you have absolutely nothing else, right? It's called Haven.
Wow.
And you have to prove you're homeless and you're an alcoholic or a drug addict. And they take you in. It's a Christian environment. And I've known someone that went there and she came out and started drinking again. So there's the, you know,
That's right.
The will has to really be powerful.
Absolutely.
And you know, it's interesting because I have an aunt. I have alcoholic family members that, and I've had a few that died from alcoholism. But I had an aunt who like literally quit smoking and drinking all at once, just cold turkey.
Wow.
While, and then she ended up drinking again, and she ended up dying drunk.
Oh.
Oh my God.
Yeah, hit a family, and so it was, you know, it's pretty sad, but it's like she. You know, there are some people that are just like cold turkey done, but I can imagine that's got to be so excruciating, like either way. But if you're just cold turkey on your own, trying to make it work, like that's going to be so hard.
Right, right. And, you know, I can relate to what you just said, Monica, is that eventually I went to a rehab, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that later, but it was kind of like I was sent there. So I kind of went through the motions. There was nothing inside of me that was serious about this program. And so I stayed there for 12 days. And my thought process was still that of an addict when I left. I may have abstained from drugs and alcohol while I was there because I didn't have access to them. But unless you truly want to change and do the work that it takes to change, you're not going to.
And even if you have that will, even if you do have that will going in as you did, 12 days is still not enough.
No, right? And those 3 months is minimum to change habits. Like, and those are just like regular.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, yes, Sarah, exactly. Because I think people have the misconception, okay, well, I went to rehab and so that's it. It's just the beginning.
No, right. Exactly.
It's just the beginning. I have been sober for 7 years now, and it's taken me 7 years to be able to even talk about this. This is not something that I have been doing the whole 7 years.
Yeah.
It was so painful for me and actually shameful as well to talk about. I couldn't even say the word alcoholic. I didn't even want to say the word depression for so many years until God gently encouraged me to, hey, I want you to now share this with other people. And so, yeah, it's a journey. It's not just you wake up and you're sober and everything's great. It is a healing process.
Internally healing.
Yeah. So let's talk about your faith and where does that step in? Because we know where you stand now, and obviously, so did your family have a background in faith and Christianity? Was that an influence on you as a child?
Yes.
Hi everyone, Monica here. Just wanted to thank you so much for watching the Monica Brant Show, and don't forget to subscribe, like, share these videos, and and that little bell notification. Don't forget to click that so you'll get more great content every time there's a show uploaded or a video or anything else. So you guys, thank you so much for your support, and as always, stay fit and love life.